Madhavam Chaitanya Ishwaram.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So we welcome all of you once again to our weekly Bhagavad Gita discussion, where we are systematic studying chapter after chapter. So which chapter we have discussed last time? Can anybody remember that? Fifth chapter. What is the name of the chapter? Action in Krishna consciousness, Karma Yoga. So how many chapters are there in Bhagavad Gita? 18. Okay, so 18th chapter, it is given the example of, in 18th chapter, there are six chapters segmentation. So first 6 chapter is the base of Bhagavad Gita, where we know about ourselves, about God. And then middle 6 chapter is actually the cream, actually the stuff, actually the stuffing, which is required for us to elevate spiritually. It's called Bhakti Yoga. And then last 6th section. So whenever we are, so how many of you seen the construction site where they actually feel the base level concrete, then machine comes and all the concrete feeds in? How many of you seen that? Okay. Have you noticed one particular thing? When they feel the concrete and then there is one particular instrument, they keep on poking into that particular section. You know why? Why they do that? Base becomes strong, but why that particular instrument is get poked into the concrete?
So that water will go inside.
That is one part, and another most important part is, see, there is a ether, and ether has a air. So whenever you are putting concrete, there is a certain element which remain vacuum, which there is a break, so air get passed into that. So whenever there is a air, there is a more chances that it will not last for long. So it can break immediately. So that's why that instrument is put into that concrete, so that it can pull the unwanted air, so that the concrete base will become strong. So similarly, this first 6th chapter is the base of your entire spirituality, of your entire knowledge, and of your entire elevation. So any break in the form of doubt, not clarified, confused, if that remain, then your next 6th chapter or next to next 6th chapter or entire pillar or an entire building of your spirituality will not last for a long. So that is the reason this is most important chapter. It is a base, it is a pillar, that any question that you have, any doubt you have, that you need to clear it now, because as the Bhagavad Gita progresses, it will take on to the another level where you cannot have the basic doubt, because that will not allow you to understand some deeper meaning, some deeper context in the future chapters. That is the reason. So we'll quickly recap what we have discussed in the 5th chapter. So 5th chapter is basically the Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. So whenever we are talking about the action, how action get formulated, first you get the thought. Okay, you get the thought. So based on your desire, you get the thought, and your thought compel you to perform the action. And when action continues, it becomes habit, and habit form your character. And character define your destiny, where you are going to reach. So it is all connected from your desire to destiny. And specifically action in Krishna consciousness, the 5th chapter is explaining you how you can progress steadily and slowly, step by step. So there are basically 2 steps. Whenever you are taking any steps towards the material world or materiality, then material complications and the rules of material will work on you. So you can either get stuck more into the material entanglement, or there is a other way where Krishna is proposing that you can step by step elevate yourself to the spirituality, where you can learn about yourself, learn about the Lord, how material nature works, and how you can perform your action in such a way so that instead of getting bondage into the karma, you get liberated step by step, slowly and gradually. So that is the 5th chapter. And finally, ultimately, so when we are talking about the 5th chapter, it is acronym is STEP. So first, stay in this world, which is mentioning about 1 to 12 verses, where actually Arjuna was confused and he was not very clear about how to perform work, at the same time renounce from that work. Because for Arjuna, work and renunciation is both mutually exclusive. So one working cannot be renounced, and one who's renounced cannot work. So that was the Arjuna's confusion that Krishna clarified. How you can work also, and at the same time you can be renounced also. Then three doers, T means three doers, that is covered in 13 to 16 verses, where actually we are comparing ourselves to the director, enjoyer, breadwinner or controller, but that is not the case. So actually, what are the three doers? Who all are the three doers? Three doers. Three modes of nature is one of the doer. So we have explained. See, this recap is very necessary as we progress. That's why I said that first to sixth chapter is very basic. So three doers are basically, you need to remember this. See, whenever you have any questions, any doubt regarding who is actually, see, many people you must have seen that they are saying that we are not doing anything. Everything is happening by the will of the Lord. We are not the Karta. Is that right? It is right. It is not wrong. But at the same time, कर लो दुनिया मुट्ठी में, everything you can do it. If you don't do it, it will not happen. God will help those who help themselves. Is it right? It is also right. So then what is wrong? So basically, three doers are the individual soul. They are in a sense doer because they only what they can do, they can desire. They can think. They can will. So they are the doer. Second is that will or desire is not enough, but it has to be complemented, it has to be sanctioned, it has to be confirmed, recommendation by the Supreme Lord. So Supreme Lord is the second doer. And because of the sanction of the Lord, there is a third doer, which is the working in the direction. As you mentioned, the three modes. The three modes is the executive strategy of a material world, that is Maya. So basically material world, material nature. So three doers are who? One individual soul, super soul and material world, which help you to fulfill your desire, not because you desire, because Lord had sanctioned your desire to get fulfilled. So they are the three doers. And ultimately, whatever we do, ultimately for what we are doing, happiness, right? So that is the end last verse of the Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter, which is very, very famous verse. Bhoktaram yajnatam sarvaloka maheshwaram tudadam sarvabhutanam gyatva shanti mrikshati. So for experiencing any happiness in this world, first you have to become peaceful. So unless and until you are not peaceful, you are not able to experience the happiness. That is the conclusion, that is the verdict of 5th chapter, where Krishna is saying, steps mein E is your equal vision, where you are actually treating your vision in such a way so that you can see equally everything, every situation, every person and everything in your life, what is happening. So equal vision is not getting distracted by happiness or distress. You can see equally. And equally means when you are talking about in person, so person is you are showing with an equal vision to everyone. That means respecting everyone, irrespective of that caste, creed, color, sex, nation, anything. So that is the equal vision. And fourth is your peace, that we have explained in the 29. So this is the summary of the 5th chapter. Now the 6th chapter is basically a little out of box from the entire Bhagavad Gita study. It's an exclusive specific chapter where in a way it is actually a discouraging chapter, because Bhagavad Gita is meant to be motivate us, inspire us, do your duty. But specifically 6th chapter when you study, you will realize that 6th chapter is basically Krishna wants us to be humble, wants us to know that we are good for nothing, wants us to, in a little way scare us. Because there he mentioned about the Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyan Yoga. The chapter of the name is Dhyan Yoga, when you have to meditate. And specifically, we all know that how much we can meditate. So that will be explained in the 6th chapter by Krishna. So 6th chapter, the entire chapter, there are 47 verses. And 47 verses we see acronym also, how it move forward. But the 6th chapter is basically to explain us that first 46 verse. So last verse is actually Krishna is recommending that this is my recommendation and this is doable by you. You can do this. But first 46 verse is mentioning about what you cannot do. We are not mean for that. We don't have the ability, capability, time. We'll see that how we are not fit for that particular Dhyan Yoga. So Krishna is mentioning in the Sixth chapter. So first let's go directly into the sixth chapter first verse, and then we'll discuss a bit about the purport and the explanation which Prabhupada has given. So sixth chapter first verses. Everybody has the access to the verses in the mobile database or anything. Yeah. Chapter 6 ध्यान योगा. श्री भगवान वाच अनाश्रित कर्म फलम कार्यकर्मा करोति यः स सन्यासी च योगी च स निर्गृह्ण च चक्रिय. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obliged is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty.
In this chapter, the Lord explains that the process of Eightfold Yoga system is a means to control the mind and the senses. However, it is very difficult for people in general to perform, especially in the age of Kali. Although the Eightfold Yoga system is recommended in this chapter, the Lord emphasizes that the process of Karma Yoga or acting in Krishna consciousness is better. Everyone acts in this world to maintain his family and their paraphernalia, but no one is working without some self-interest, some personal gratification, be it concentrated or extended. The criterion of perfection is to act in Krishna consciousness and not with a view to enjoying the fruits of the world. To act in Krishna consciousness is the duty of every living entity because all are constitutionally part and parcel of the Supreme. The parts of the body work for the satisfaction of the whole body. The limbs of the body do not act for self-satisfaction but for the satisfaction of the complete whole. Similarly, the living entity who acts for the satisfaction of the Supreme Whole and not for the personal satisfaction is the perfect sannyasi, the perfect yogi. The sannyasi sometimes artificially think that he have become liberated from all material duties and therefore they cease to perform Agnihotra Yajnas, fire sacrifice. But actually they are self-interested because their goal is to become one with the impersonal Brahman. Such a desire is greater than any material desire, but it is not without sacrifice. Similarly, the mystic yogi who practices yoga system with half-open eyes, using all the material activities, desires some satisfaction for his personal self. But a person acting in Krishna consciousness works for the satisfaction of the whole, without self-interest. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for self-satisfaction. His criterion of success is the satisfaction of Krishna, and thus he is perfect sannyasi or perfect yogi. Lord Chaitanya, the highest perfectional symbol of renunciation, prays in this way. Nadanam, Najadam, Nasankaram, Kavitam, Var, Jagat, Isra, Pahar, Kamajarnai, Janma, Visare.
Bhavatat Bhakti Ahitu.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to enjoy little, nor do I want any number of purpose. What I want only is causeless mercy of your devotional service in my life, birth after birth.
See, this is the ultimate perfection and which is taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we discussed last time the Gaur Leela. So in the last phase, concluding pastime, he mentioned about the 10 verses, which is we called as the Sikshashtakam. So where he mentioned that what should be the instruction Lord Chaitanya has given that we need to follow. And this is one of the instructions that Lord Chaitanya is giving, where he is mentioning about the Nadhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagdish kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhakti ahetuki tvai. So this entire world is basically behind all this thing which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that I don't want anything. All these three things. So basically the entire world is behind Kanchan, Kamini and Kirti. So Kanchan you all know, which is high rising prices now, lakhs of rupees. Kanchan means gold. So everything included in the gold in terms of the wealth. Kamini, no need to explain, everybody knows. And Kirti, which is the subtle desire. Name, fame, adoration, position, power, controlling everything. So entire world is behind these three. And these three, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying that I don't want. That's how we begin the spiritual journey, when we only want Krishna. So that is the highest level, no need to worry about that, but that is the ideal example that is set by the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We can somehow or the other will reach by the mercy of the Guru, Gauranga, all the Acharyas, but we are into the progressive stage. So when we need to practice step by step, slow by slow, no matter whatever time it takes, but be relaxed but don't be complacent. So there is a difference between the relaxed and complacent. So now this 6th chapter, as I mentioned, so generally what happens is many the times there is a natural tendency and understanding that something which is not very easy, it is what? Something not very easy, that is not the best. Or something which is bad, it is not very easy. Generally there is a tendency, right? If you want to achieve bad, then it is not very easy. There are many hurdles, there are many obstacles that you need to pass through, step by step progress. So then there is a question, then specifically why Krishna is speaking about this chapter. If he wants to let us know that it is not recommended, it is not meant for us, then why Krishna is speaking this? Why 6th chapter is there? Because in this age where Kali Yuga is, full of temptation and distraction and alluration, where no matter whatever you do, even if you are watching a spiritual program on the TV, but the ad will distract you. There is no point in seeing any ad which is no relevant to that program, but still that ad will distract you. So there is every step, there is a distraction, there is a temptation, and which bombarding from all sides. So it is very difficult for you or us to focus. That's why Krishna is saying that this Dhyana Yoga is actually meant for some different yuga or some different purpose. But specifically Krishna mentioned this chapter so that we can know that we ask for something, and then just like in the hotel, when you ask for the menu card, in menu card there are many items, but the end what we can ask, because if the hotel is new, you go and ask the waiter, what is your favorite, what is your speciality? That Krishna recommends this up to 46th chapter, and then finally Krishna gives his opinion that what is best. That's why we are learning. So as it is mentioned that in this particular yuga there is difficult for you to focus. So Bhagavatam explains that why it is difficult to focus in the specific Kali Yuga, where Bhagavatam in the first canto, first chapter, 10th verse, it is specifically mentioned that Praya Alpa Ayushas Sabhya Kalau Asmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Upadrita. So we'll see that how and why this 6th chapter is not recommended for us because of the 5 reasons. So first reason is Alpa Ayushya. Alpa Ayushya is human form of life in the material is very less. It is only about 100 years. So it is said that in the Satyuga there were lakhs of years of age. 1 lakh, then 10,000, then 1,000 and then 100. Now 100 is very difficult for us to live because of the so many temptation, distraction, and the kind of regulated life we don't want to live. Because by default we don't want to follow any regulations, any rules we don't like. We need to live the life according to our whimsical nature, and our psychophysical nature doesn't allow us to lead life which is regulated life. So we people generally don't know what to eat, what not to eat, how much to eat, how much not to eat, when to eat, how much to sleep, when not to sleep. There are many things which we don't know. So Alpa Ayushya is basically a limitation for us, because to perform a yajna, to dhyan, we need time. So Hiranyakashipu went for tapasya for how many years? 1,000 years. So he has a life of 1 lakh years. So he can afford the 1,000 years of tapasya. We have only 100 years of life. And if we remove some years of tapasya, and we first of all don't know that how much we will live. In 100 years also it is not fixed that we will live 100 years. So it is example is given that one reporter goes and in the garden on the bench 3 people were sitting, very old looking, very aged 3 people were sitting. So reporter went that and asked first person that what is the secret of this your long life? You are quite aged, quite long you have lived. What is the secret? Then he said that I was always faithful to my wife. I've never drink. I've never smoked. And led a very simple life. How much is your age? That reporter asked. Then that person has said 96. And then similar person was sitting next to him. Then reporter asked him, what about you? So then person said that only once in life I have drank. I have a couple of times smoking, and that's it. That's how we lead a life of this long life. How much is your age? It's 93. And the reporter went to third person. So third person also he asked that what about you? He is 96, 93, and you are of a kind of a very long age that you have lived. So what is your secret? So he said that throughout entire life I have drank so much. Always I used to smoke. I am breaking all the principle. So reporter was very impressed that despite of doing all this, you lived such a long life. What is your age? He said 23. He said what? 23. So in the 23 years of age, he was looking like a old man. So that is our situation where we actually, talk about the dhyana or yoga, which is actually not suitable for this age. And we can see that, in a very young age, now we see so many examples where we have actually seen people dying with a very chronic disease. 20 years guy getting a heart attack, many are getting cancer. So there are so much of instability and insecurity in this particular yoga, where we, saying that Ayushya is Alpa. That is one reason which is stopping us or not allowing us to do a dhyan. Then second comes is when we talk about that shloka, it's the manda. Manda means lazy. So no need to define the laziness, but specifically I want to highlight that laziness is not there in everybody's nature. But specifically when we talk about spirituality, practicing spirituality, that laziness comes. And there are many excuses, many reasons not to practice spirituality. See, people would be ready to go to club, sports clubs, movies, parties. Even if person is not willing to go, people will drag him, friends will drag him, that person will ready to go there. But when it comes to spirituality or practicing spiritual sadhana, spiritual practices, become lazy. And there are many excuses. Our calling team calls many people. We have around 150 people in the group, more than 150 people. They call 200 people every time. And only the most fortunate people, willing people, only 20-30 people comes. Why? Because of that spiritual laziness, where we don't want to practice spirituality. We don't want to step ourselves to come from the comfort zone. And unless and until you come out from your comfort zone, there will not be any growth, be it material or spiritual. So even if you want to progress or grow in terms of academic or materially also, you have to step out of your comfort zone. You need to step one step outside your comfortable situation. That's how the progress will be made. So many excuses, people will say that, market down, so I am also down, I will not come. I have family responsibility. Ladies specifically say that I want to cook. Children's exams are there. There are many excuses which we can not even think of, the people will say. And the excuses such that you cannot argue. The calling team would be knowing. They try to, ask them that it is beneficial for you, please come, we are starting new chapter. We are celebrating festivals. It's the biggest festival. But still people are not very interested. It is a laziness of a mind specifically to the spirituality. That is the manda. Now somehow or the other people are fortunate enough, come for the spiritual practices, come for the platform on the, where we are discussing spirituality. But still, what is the third disqualification? Sumanda matayo. People are less intelligent. So intelligence are not very sharp. It is very dull, not able to understand things even if the multiple attempt, even if the multiple try. So by default, we are less intelligent. Earlier when the people were of there in Satyuga or even in Treta Yuga, they were the Shrutidhar. They used to hear one time and they can remember the entire story. So there was no typing or there was no laptop. There was no manuscript. And many such are examples there in the past that they have heard one time. So Sud Goswami is one of the listeners in Sukdev Goswami's Katha. And then He remember everything. Not type, not manuscript was not there, not written book, but then he has explained to the 88,000 sannyasis again in Naimisharanya. So that intelligent they were. But in Kali Yuga, it is very, very less intelligent people. And the most important is, even if you are becoming little intelligent and try to practice spirituality, but people don't know how to do worship or how to practice spirituality. Because there are many distractions and people are saying, there are some people who will say that, everything is God, you worship everything. There are people who will say that worship nothing. There are people who would say that at least worship something. So it is very confusing. Then what to worship and what to do. So even people are worshipping to even, car or a bike or, non-living thing also. Because they don't know what to worship. So his example is given. Specifically in ISKCON, there was one brahmachari. He was having very unique habit of worshipping. You know what he used to worship? He used to worship his own slipper, own sandal. So, literally, he used to worship that slipper, photo frame of his own slipper, and he used to worship it. People ask him that, why you are worshipping this? So he said that, I think I am God, so I am worshipping my own paduka. And why they are thinking like this? Because there is the conception, there is understanding that God with desire equal to human being. And human being minus desire equal to God. That is the misconception and that is the understanding people have. So that's why they don't know what to worship, whom to worship, how to practice devotional service. That's why you see many other bona fide, unauthenticated threads of worship. But still, our Sanatan Dharma is so accommodative that somehow or the other we try to see to it, somehow or the other they are getting some sukruti, some positivity, some credit they are accumulating, and then they will progress spirituality somehow or the other. So Krishna is very accommodative, Sanatan Dharma is very accommodative. So this is the third. Which one the first one? Disqualification for this Yuga is? Time, age, Alpa Ayushya. Then Manda, laziness. Then third is Sumanda Mataram. And the fourth one is Manda Bhagya. People are very, very unfortunate. So even if you try to, whatever life you have been given, then you try to develop some faith, come to the spirituality. But then again, the Bhagya is so unfortunate. There are so much distractions, so much problem in everyone's life that it is difficult for us to focus. And focus is most important. Determination and focus. So unless and until you are not able to focus, you will not be able to progress. Because your thoughts are not regulated, your thoughts are not aligned to your goal. See, goal, and then you concentrate and you align your thoughts to that goal so that you can take action to achieve that goal. So that's why it is one of the disqualification that people are very, very unfortunate. And even if we are coming for the spirituality, spiritual program, satsang, many people are coming for the peace. Because there are so much of distractions, so much of turbulences, so much of ups and downs we were discussing. So people want to have relax and have to have a peaceful time. So this satsang kind of a program, they take as an option to have some relax, some peace. Because we don't have to apply our mind. No need to ask question. Just sit in the class. Okay, whatever comes to our mind, just hear that. AC environment is there. Then at the end, we get some nice sumptuous prasad. Have that and go. So that is the ideal way for many people. एक अच्छा सत्संग हो जाता है और then people meet together, have talk here and there and then go. So there are people who have many reasons to come for the program. So Mand Bhagya, so can anybody tell that Bhagya is important or not? How Bhagya is important? Because we are saying that unless and until you do anything, you will not receive your desired goal or you will not able to achieve your goal. Then why it is important Bhagya? See, unfortunately, every celebrities, every successful people would not speak about the luck. See, when you are saying luck, that means you are doubting his capability, skills and ability. If you are saying that you are lucky, so lucky means something is given by the God's grace. You have received it. You don't deserve it, but still. So lucky is you don't deserve. Right? That is the understanding. If you are saying that you are lucky, then that means you don't deserve. So people reluctant to accept that I am lucky. It is I am self-made mad. Sorry, क्या बोला उल्टा बोलते हैं. I am self-made man. So people have that tendency that everything I am doing and I have done something and I have ability, capacity and it is my skill. So it is not for luck. But there were a group of people, of scientists, and they were discussing about how to win the Nobel Prize. And specific one scientist has mentioned about that to win the Nobel Prize, there are 3 things which is required. Your dedications, your proper guidance and a luck. Because luck and science doesn't have any connection. Because science believe in practical experiences. See, if you are believing in luck or fortunes or God, then you will not be able to practice science to some extent. But that is not true. Prabhupada has defeated many scientists. So luck is even there in the science also. Because every scientist who have practiced, who have practically done the experiences, they are not in the list of history. They are not successful. That doesn't mean they are not successful in a right sense, because they couldn't come out with anything which is acceptable by the world. So we can say that luck works that also. And we see that many people are working for the same purpose, same effort, same strength, stamina, everything, but still some people are getting and some people are not getting. Many people are there who play best of the cricket, but they are not Sachin Tendulkar, they are not Virat Kohli. There are many people who are best of the actors, but they are not Amitabh Bachchan, not Shah Rukh Khan, not Ajay Devgan. Even better than them, people are there. You must have seen that video, na? Many singers are there who are from very poverty-stricken condition, but their voice is like, more than Kishore Kumar. But why they couldn't come up? Because of there is one movie in the dialogue. Sorry, I am giving this example. So that is very famous movie, and the dialogue is, तुम्हारे और हमारे धंधे में, वो लास्ट में अग्निपथ में डायलॉग है, अमिताभ बच्चन बोलता है उसको, जब उसको गोली मारते हैं ना 3, तो उसके बाद में जब वो बच जाता है, बोले तुम्हारे और हमारे धंधे में बात इसका नहीं है, इसका है, ऐसा बोलता है वो. एंड दैट इज़ वेरी हार्ड हिटिंग लाइन. मतलब ही गोज विदाउट बुलेट प्रूफ जैकेट एनीथिंग एंड पीपल शूट हिम. 3-4 गोली लगता है, पूरा गाड़ी को गोली मार देता है और फिर भी वो बच जाता है. फिर वो लास्ट में डायलॉग मारता है कि तुम्हारे और हमारे में जीत इसका नहीं, इसका है. So that is luck is important. So if you are not thinking that luck is not important, please believe that luck is also important, and luck is given by the sanction of the Lord. Remember I said that 3 doers, that comes from the mercy of the Lord. So 4th one is a mandbhagya, and then 5th one is a upadrita. Upadrita is disturbed mind, and no need to explain much about this, that our mind is disturbed. We are not able to focus, not able to concentrate, and because of that, and most important is, disturbed mind is, we are coming, even for the spirituality, we are coming after long time, if of years of abuses, bodily and mind. Many abuses we have handled or we have gone through, and after that we are coming to spirituality. And due to the bad habit or conditioning, many people, even if they want, they are not able to come out of that bad habit zone. They are not able to come out, and they are really struggling. They want help, they need guidance, but they are not able to come up. So it is not very easy, and because of that, what happens is, people try, people fail, and then lose hope to practice spirituality. Because spirituality also, it is not easy. It is simple, but not easy. It is complicated for the complicated and simple for the simple. But nowhere it is written that it is easy. It is difficult to sit for the 2 hours and chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Those who are saying what you are doing, always you are chanting, not doing anything practically, just ask them. You sit for 10 minutes and do 1 round of japa, you will realize what it is. है ना? It is not easy to deal with the mind. And most important, most valuable, most uncredible ideas and thoughts and the planning will all come during the japa. When you start japa, everything will come. People used to sit with the diary and note and pen. It is a practical, huh? Because people think that the best of the ideas come on this time, so they need to write down. Because it is only the time given by Krishna to you when you chant. Krishna personally appears and hears your chanting when you are chanting. And we are chanting, we are calling out Krishna, and then when Krishna comes, yes, you called me, and we are looking here. It is like in the childhood we used to do, na? Go to everyone's house, ring the bell, and just go away from there. And people will come and see that nobody is there. So that is not the japa actually. When we chant, we actually pray to Krishna that, we might not be feeling happiness or we might not enjoying the chanting, but chanting is not for our enjoyment. It is for Krishna's enjoyment. Krishna is, आपको मजा नहीं आ रहा है, लेकिन कृष्ण को बहुत मजा आ रहा है. And try to listen to what you are speaking, what you are chanting. And without commitment of chanting, for this particular age, we'll see this particular age will not be able to progress, because that is the recommended process, recommended tip or recommended guidance or a slogan or whatever you say, but that is the ultimate key to unlock this material world and see the path of spiritual world and go out. Without that, it is not possible, no matter whatever you do. Most important is, we are speaking about now is meditation. So many places are there where they are running the workshop, they are having the club of sound meditation, laughing club, or many things are doing. Why they are doing? Because they want to come out of that miserable condition of material life to some or the other and experience the peace and experience the rather happiness. But that is not possible, because it is not meant for this particular age, this particular time. Then how can you practice that? And now if you say that, now I'll do a yajna. So is it possible to do yajna? No. Dhyan we cannot do, yajna we cannot do. And we'll see the other distraction and other obstacles. And we have seen this practical situation now in this age of Kali, where every second person is depressed. Mansik tanav. Why? Because there is so much of competitiveness, and people who are not able to cope up with that competition, they get depressed. Because in spite of, so much of competition is there, everyone wants to come first. Simple example is, getting into the train. सबको पहले जाना है, और उतरने के टाइम पे सबको पहले उतरना है. But they don't know, if you are first in, then it is very unlikely that you will get first out. So everybody wants to come first. Everybody wants to have the better family life. Everybody wants to have the wealth. Everybody wants to experience the life, luxury life of many celebrities, many sportsmen are doing that. So we are seeing that, and we are trying to achieve that. But as I mentioned, there are many factors work when you try to achieve something in your life. It is not about only your desire. It is about what you deserve based on your past karma, your duty, then God's sanction, then material nature. Many factors are working there. And because of that, many people are depressed. And it is said that every second person is depressed. And nowadays, depression has become fashionable. And people are liking to say that I'm depressed. It's a kind of a symbol that, I am so busy, I've worked so much, now I'm feeling a little tired and I'm depressed. And depression is a style where you seek attention. So somebody is depressed, people want to have that affection and love, because people are feeling lonely. So they want to have that attention. कोई आके पूछे, अरे क्या हो गया, क्यों दुखी है? And one depressed people meet you, then 2 hours is gone. You have to just listen to that depression. सुनते रहो सिर्फ. और and they don't want solution, basically. They don't want solution. They don't want any mechanism where they can come out of that situation. They only want your shoulder. You have to cry, you have to, in that you listen to me. अपना डाउनलोड डस्टबिन समझ के निकालना है. whatever they have accumulated, they want to just give, so that I become relaxed. अभी वो जाने उसको दे दिया मैंने, अभी वो देखेगा, मैं तो फ्री हो गया, मैं तो रिलैक्स हो गया. So that is how it is currently happening. So and it is example is given that in US one study is there where I mentioned na, that every second person is in depression. So psychiatrists jobs are very encouraging job. Students are becoming psychiatrists because many people are suffering from depression, and psychiatrists are the one who can help them. So one study says that because of the depressed people, they are so much of depressed that they distribute that depression in many other people, even to the animal. So one study states that because of the depressed people, their pets are also becoming depressed, and specific study says that the dog stop barking only. Why? Because they become depressed, because they are living with the people who are depressed. So now there is another profession has built up, which is psychiatrists for the dog. They help the dog. Can you believe? Can you imagine? They help the dog to bark. How to bark? भोंकते नहीं है कुत्ते, भोंको. ऐसा situation है. And now see, one example is, I am talking about the disturbed mind. There are so much of situation currently there in the current affair where it is very disturbing. So in one flight, 3 politicians were going, and they are moving from the one drought area where the natural calamities were there. So 3 politicians were there and pilot were driving. So one politician threw a 100 rupee note, and he said that at least one person will be benefited. Then another politician threw 10 rupee ka note, at least 10 people will be benefited. Third politician threw 1 rupee note, so at least 100 people will be benefited. You know what pilot has done? All three of them, whole world will be benefited. Why? Because there are so much of politics, and for the self-satisfying ego, entire war is happening. What is that in US and Iran war? It's a ego based. See, natural resources which is meant for a particular country, you cannot have a claim on that. See, you can fight against terrorism, that is separate part. But only because to satisfy your ego, you cannot have many people killed, even school children. So much of distraction. Because of that, everybody is worried about the prices of gas, LPG, petrol. So much of disturbing condition. Even if you want to focus spirituality, even if you want to practice spirituality, that will not allow you to practice. You will not be able to do that. And we are talking about the Dhyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. And you know what? Ashtanga Yoga, after reading this chapter, you will come to know that, Ashtanga Yoga, see, whatever we call it as a yoga, that is only a physical level exercise, nothing more than that. We don't know even what is Ashtanga Yoga, and we cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga. It is very deep subject matter. There are many things which we need to take care. Then we receive. So I will tell you that what are the different stages and limbs of the Ashtanga. Ashtanga means 8 principles of the Ashtanga Yoga. We will discuss about that. But that is what actually we try to do, and what Krishna is saying that this is not possible for this particular yoga because of 5 reasons. What are the 5 reasons? Can you repeat that? What are the 5 reasons which is stopping us to practice the Dhyan Yoga in this particular Kali Yuga? What is the first one? Short age. Second? Alpa Ayusha, short age. Second is Manda, matlab lazy. Third is Sumanda Matayo. Sumanda Matayo, less intelligent people. Fourth one is Manda Bhagya, very unfortunate. And fifth one is Upadrita, very disturbed mind. And now this 6th chapter is basically letting us know that how we need to understand what is Dhyan Yoga and how we can practically apply that Dhyan Yoga in this particular yoga. So Krishna has mentioned this particular chapter, and the acronym is given is EASY, EASY, easy. Easy is first 1 to 9 words. It is mentioning about the enemy or friend. Okay. Then A stands for Ashtanga Yoga, which is also 10 to 36, and then S stands for success and failure, which is 37 to 45, and Y stands for Yogi. So actually, who is Yogi and what Krishna recommends for us to become Yogi, and how we can apply this entire Dhyan Yoga section in a practical way in a Kali Yuga, what Krishna wants to recommend. So the entire 46 verses will study, and then at the end what Krishna will say, And this is my opinion how you can become yogi, and that is the conclusive part of the entire 6th chapter. So now we'll read second verse and we'll discuss a bit about the second verse also. यम संन्यासमिति प्राहुर योगतम विद्धि पांडव न हासन्त्य संकल्पो योगी भवति कश्चन. What is called a renunciation you should know to be the same as a yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme, O son of Pandu. For one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. The purport. Yeah, read.
Real sannyasa yoga or bhakti means that one should know his constitutional position as the living entity and act accordingly. The living entity has no separate independent identity. He is the marginal energy of the Supreme. When he is entrapped by material energy, he is conditioned, and when he is Krishna conscious or aware of the spiritual energy, then he is in his real and natural state of life. Therefore, when one is in complete knowledge, one ceases all material sense gratification or renounces all kinds of sense gratificatory activities. This is practiced by the yogis who restrain the senses from material attachment. But a person in Krishna consciousness has no opportunity to engage his senses in anything which is not for the purpose of Krishna. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is simultaneously a sannyasi and a yogi. The purpose of knowledge and of restraining the senses as prescribed in the jnana and yoga processes is automatically served in Krishna consciousness. If one is unable to give up the activities of his selfish nature, then jnana and yoga are of no avail. The real aim is for a living entity to give up all selfish satisfaction and to be prepared to satisfy the Supreme. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for any kind of self-enjoyment. He is always engaged for the enjoyment of the Supreme. One who has no information of the Supreme must therefore be engaged in self-satisfaction, because no one can stand on the platform of inactivity. All purposes are perfectly served by the practice of Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, in the purport, this statement is very important. So, this I want you to again read it. So, when he is entrapped, so here is Prabhupada is mentioning that the living entity is a marginal energy of the Supreme. So, this is very important to know, because see, there is a spiritual energy, material energy, and marginal energy. So, we all living being comes into the marginal energy. Okay, it may sound little technical, but it is necessary to understand that why we are sometimes feeling. How many of you feel that sometimes by default, by nature, you are inclined to practice spirituality, peaceful, having good relations with others, no quarrel, peaceful relationships? How many times you feel that? Many times, right? And sometimes unnecessary, without any reason, you become agitated, you become quarrelsome, or you become distracted, disturbed. Why you are feeling that? Because of the material nature, you are dragged by that particular mode of nature. Because of that, you are feeling that. So sometimes we are into the spiritual realm, and sometimes we are into the material element. So we are in between. The living entity are marginal energy. Sometimes because of the nature, we are sometimes in spiritual, dragged by the spiritual activity to some extent, and then sometimes in the material activity. So that's why Prabhupada is mentioning, when he is entrapped by the material energy, he is conditioned. Because see, material energy, why it is called conditioned? As I mentioned, there are three doers. Okay, so even if you desire, you cannot fulfill your desire. You are conditioned by the material nature, material law. You cannot work by your own whim, and you are controlled by the material nature. जो लोग बोलते हैं ना, मतलब people are saying ना that we don't want controlism, we want to control, but we don't want to be controlled. They are actually controlled. by the material nature, some or the other way. So being a marginal energy, whenever we are identifying ourselves with the material nature, material energy, we are by default conditioned. And when he is Krishna conscious or aware of the spiritual energy, then he is the real and natural state of life. So by default, our natural state is to become Krishna conscious. That's how we can elevate ourselves to spirituality. And then the moment and the way we are progressing to spiritual life, that's how we actually running towards Krishna. And more we are running towards Krishna, because we are part and parcel of him, it is a favorable condition for the living entity. And that is why the conditioned souls is mean for. Just Prabhupada mentioned in the previous purport also, just like the any limbs of the body is to serve the entire body. So we are part and parcel of the Lord. You are Anu and Bhagwan is Vibhu. So we are meant to serve him. So there is no question of serving ourselves or being satisfied ourselves or being happy ourselves. There is no way, no possibility. Because if hands say that I don't want to serve the body, but I want to be happy. You must have seen that analogy, and many times we have discussed that everyone goes on strikes, and they say that every limbs of the body, they say that we are working hard, we are struggling, every cold, winter, everything we are suffering, and that this stomach is just sitting idle and having everything we are offering to him. They all went on strike and they are stopping supplying to the stomach. Then what will happen? Because they are supplying to the stomach, they are helping the stomach to have that food and digest that. Because of the stomach, blood gets transformed and then it gives strength to the entire limb. Similarly, if we say that we don't want to serve the Lord and we become happy, it is not possible. To some extent, we may feel that happiness or experience or peace. Why? Because we are part and parcel of the Lord, and somehow or the other we are connected indirectly to the Lord, to the material nature. And material nature is a swabhav. Nature means swabhav. Material nature is a Lord's nature. And by default, Lord's nature is compassionate. So because to some extent we are connected to that, that is the reason why many people, even if they are not serving the Lord, still you can see that they are apparently happy. Are you getting me? Or it has become technical? You may have question. If you want to have question, you can ask. But this is what we need to understand. And last sentence is, because no one can stand on the platform of inactivity. So no matter whoever you are, somehow or the other, whatever restriction, whatever regulation that you follow, but till you have to act. You cannot be ideal. You cannot remain inactive in any sense. If you are saying that I am sitting idle, I am not doing anything, or even I am sleeping, still you are acting. Because your mind is constantly working and thoughts are there. So in a way you are giving signal to the subconscious mind. हरे कृष्णा, थोड़ा बोरिंग है क्या? आपको नींद आ रही है? बट कुछ बातें होंगी आईसाइड ना, कि टू एक्वायर द स्पिरिचुअल नॉलेज यू हैव टू पुट योर एफर्ट्स, यू नीड टू बी अवेक, यू नीड टू हैव दैट इंट्रोस्पेक्शन, mananam, smaranam, whatever we are discussing, give a thought, apply to your life. How this verse, this explanation, this purport, this analogy or this example is relevant to my life. Unless and until you are not doing that, this many Bhagavad Gita, multiple time if you are hearing throughout your life, it will not make any difference. Because it's like reading a newspaper or watching a news, where you are physically present but mentally absent. This will not work. See, we are putting effort to acquire material things, many material things, we are putting a lot of effort. But when it comes to spirituality, we want everything easy. It is said that there is no free lunch in this world. So it is also equally true in spirituality also. There is nothing free in spirituality also. So initially you might get some taste because Krishna wants to attract you. But after that, it is your effort. You have to try hard. You have to push back certain, you need to prioritize your things, your works in a day, so that such a way so that you give priority to Krishna. And in love, unless and until you don't give priority to your beloved, that relationship will not establish. And even if it is established, it will not last for a long. Most of you are married, you must have seen. So whenever there is no priority to your beloved, then some conflict here and there would come. because you are not giving value to that relationship. Similarly with Krishna. So unless and until you are coming out of a comfort zone, you are sacrificing something materially and doing something for Krishna, then that relationship will not, bonding will be there, but that it will not be stronger. And for small distractions, small turbulation, it will be shaken up. So, it is also important that, I can give you one example that whenever we are having a juice cane, okay, juice cane, all of you must have seen. So it is specifically mentioned the ingredients of the juice cane, what experience you will get and what benefit you will get if you drink that particular juice. It is written over that, right, in the juice can. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita is also like a juice can. Okay. So we need to, what is an ingredient? Ingredients is talk about your, what experience you will get by reading Bhagavad Gita. See, Bhagavad Gita tells you about the material nature, right? So in material world, what you experience? Misery, condensed misery. Not only misery, condensed misery. वो खीर बनाते हैं ना, the condensed milk, वो वाला misery, गाढ़ा वाला. आप चाहेंगे तो भी उसको avoid नहीं कर सकते. That is the condensed misery you are taking. What is the symptoms or what are the ingredients of this world? Is birth, old age, disease and death. This is the ingredients of this particular world. And then what are the benefits of Bhagavad Gita, reading Bhagavad Gita? Why we are reading Bhagavad Gita? What benefit you will get? How many lecture we have up till now? 100 and more? 50 to pakado 50. Why we are Bhagavad Gita? Why you came here at this 7 o'clock in the Saturday? Why you have came here? Knowledge. What you will do with that knowledge? Knowledge can you get from the news also? Newspaper also. Spiritual knowledge. What you will get by spiritual knowledge? How you will get spiritual knowledge? So what is the spiritual knowledge? Understand self. Then what is next?
Relation between the Supreme Lord and yourself.
Yes, that is the relationship between Supreme and you. Who you are, who is the Supreme Lord. That is the main 5 reasons of the Bhagavad Gita, right? What else? Understand the purpose of life. See, all this will happen unless and until you don't understand what is illusion and what is reality. That is the base. And see, if you want to read the ingredients of the juice can or Bhagavad Gita, there are 3 reasons why you cannot read the ingredients. 3 responsible factors why you cannot read that ingredient. First is, if it is written in a different language. Japan se Chinese mein anything is written, we will not be able to understand because it is written in a different language which is not, we are not used to it. We will not be able to understand that. Another is, if there is no light in the showroom, you go to the shop and you purchase that, but there is no light. You are not able to see the ingredients because light is not there. And the third reason is, if there is a complete person who is actually buying that drink or a juice, he is completely drunk or intoxicated. He will not be able to see that what is written because every word will be upar niche na ulta pulta. He will not be able to understand. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita is not written in a language we perceive. So what is our language of understanding? Our language of understanding is I, me and mine. Unfortunately, that is our understanding. So anything related to I, me and mine, that we can easily understand. मेरा क्या, मुझे क्या मिलेगा, मेरा क्या होगा, right? That is the language that we understand. But Bhagavad Gita is not written in that language, unfortunately or fortunately. Because if you want to enjoy material life, then Bhagavad Gita is not directly meant for you. There are ways where Krishna is explaining how you to be, enjoy materially also and connected spiritually also. But Bhagavad Gita is not written in that particular language. And when we talk about the no light, so darkness of ignorance, so unless and until, as you mentioned, the spiritual knowledge, so unless and until you awake the spiritual knowledge, the darkness or illusion will not go away, and you will not be able to read the ingredients. That's why you see that many people worship Bhagavad Gita, many people give Bhagavad Gita as a gift, many people are, putting in the temple, having akshad, having kumkum, everything, but they will not be able to read that. Even if they are reading, they will not be able to understand that, because their language of understanding is I, me and mine, where Krishna doesn't speak I, me and mine. वो like क्या बोल रहे हैं Krishna? What is saying? It makes no sense. And unless they are in the darkness of illusion, they don't want to understand the Bhagavad Gita, don't want to come onto the platform of acquiring the knowledge. Knowledge करने के लिए क्या चाहिए? सबसे पहले darkness से तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? We have to switch on the light, and that light switch on is coming to the satsang and reading the Bhagavad Gita on a bona fide way from the bona fide instructor or the teacher. Unless and until you don't do that, you will not be able to understand the content of the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna wants to tell us, in the way Krishna wants to tell us. And the third thing is the person is intoxicated, person is drunk. So we are intoxicated by illusion or by selfish desire, will not be able to understand or appreciate Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, we require a guidance or a teacher who can explain us, who have seen the truth, and in disciplic succession that knowledge passes on, and then we can learn Bhagavad Gita in the lights of the guidance. We self by our own will not be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. Now, when we need guidance, and after having that guidance, what is the initial stage? Because Krishna here spoke about the renunciation. Okay, now understand this. Hear it very carefully, because it's very, very important. I spoke about the reality, right? The third point or third experience of Bhagavad Gita, where I spoke about, the birth, old age, disease. That is what you get from this material world. And what benefit you are getting from the Bhagavad Gita is reality. You will be able to discriminate what is right, what is wrong, what is real and what is unreal. So that reality. So basically Krishna speaks about the sannyas. So here you see the purport, what is the called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the supreme or son of Pandu. For one can never become a yogi unless renounces the desire of the sense gratification. Matlab, unless and until you are not giving up the self-centered life only for the self-interest or self-desire, we will not be able to understand the renounce order. And many times the misconception of the renunciation is, people are thinking that renounce order of life are those people who could not achieve anything materially. Unfortunately, people having that conception. See, Arjuna also wanted to do that. You know that? Because see what Arjuna wanted to do. He wanted to renounce and go to forest. Because materially he couldn't acquire the kingdom for whatever reason. So what he wanted to do, give up and chalo ashram join karte hain. So many people, even in today, people unfortunately having that conception that all the brahmacharis who are joining, all the people who are renounced order of life, they have nothing to do materially, they have not acquired anything, they have not achieved anything, they have not put in any efforts, and they are lazy people, and that's why they are joining ashram. They are joining ashram. That is the biggest misconception. There would be a certain exception, I am not talking about that, but generally, people who are spiritually enlivened, they want to come out of that comfort zone and they want to give something, return to the society, return to the other people. They are taking the renounced order of life. See, if you are thirsty, you can ask for water. If you are hungry, you can ask for your family member. But the people who are renounced, how life they are leading? They are depending on the others. They are depending on the Lord for their future security. If they don't have anything, they don't have even bank account, they don't have a financial freedom, they are depending on many people, and they are leading a life of a celibacy. Why? Because they want to contribute to the other benefit. इतने सब साधु संत, इतना परंपरा, इतना आचार्य, and this many people are there. Don't you think that they were not having the option to enjoy the sense gratification? All the sadhus, all the acharyas happened in the past. Why they have sacrificed their life? Spending hours and hours, sleepless night, writing scripture, doing preaching, helping people to upgrade spiritually. Why they have done that? What do you think? They didn't have enough option to enjoy sense gratification. There are ample of example, plethora of situations, and many instances are given there that they have opulent position, even materially, but till they have given up. Why? Because they want to genuinely contribute for the future generation. We are sitting here, we are discussing the Bhagavad Gita, we are sharing our experiences only because of the previous acharyas. They worked very hard for all of us, for our benefit. And it is our responsibility that what we are going to give to our future generation, to our future children, to what we are telling them for legacy, what we are doing for them. So it is very important not only to learn Bhagavad Gita, but to give that teaching to others, so that we can make the difference in the life of the people. So now, after talking this, Arjuna wanted to give up that. So point I am making is, renunciation is simple words. In a renunciation means to actually act in reality. To serve in reality, that is renunciation. If you want to remember this. So whenever you are talking about the renunciation, this parameter, this barometer or this check should be there, that whether this action is actually in reality. The action in reality is renunciation. It is not about letting it go or not doing anything. With the true knowledge, with the true purpose, and with the true value and ethics system, when you are acting, that is actually renunciation. And that's why Prabhupada explained in many purport in this, that for Krishna consciousness person, irrespective whether that person is in the renounced order of life, is a grihastha, is a brahmachari, is a sannyasi, or is a vanprastha, they all are in a way renunciant. They all are sannyasi. Can you believe this? That grihastha, having the children, having household responsibility, working for the society, for the self, they are non-different than the sannyasi who are in the renounced order of life. That is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. That is the highly elevated platform we are giving to each and every person who are trying for that particular ashram. And there is no discrimination about the woman or the men. It is not that the woman cannot progress spirituality. There are many examples where woman has, directly, see, for them it is very easy or very convenient mode of practicing spirituality, that for the woman, their first and the foremost thing in the dharma is to be chasteful to the husband. That is their spiritual progress. That's how they practice spirituality. Your husband is hungry and you are saying that you are going to temple to serve, that will not actually please Krishna. Your in-laws are there, they need you, and you are going to temple to do the service. I am sorry, but Lord will not be very happy to accept that service. He will accept, you will get the benefit. But when you serve your in-laws, when you serve your family member, because they all are Krishna's children, Krishna has given that responsibility to you to take care of them. And that's how you actually practice and actually experience the happiness, because you are not claiming that you are controller, you are not proprietor, you are not breadwinner. Only thing we need to remember is we are caretaker, which Krishna has given, whether it is the wealth, whether it is a wife, children, property, any adoration, any promotion, any discussion, anything that we have received, that is Krishna has given us and entrusted us to take care of that. So after explaining this, Krishna speaks about what is the beginning stage of a yoga, and then what is the final stage of a yoga in the third verse. So we'll take the third verse. Arudukshurmunir-yogam कर्म कारणम मुच्यते योगारूढ़ तत्तत्येव सम कारणम मुच्यते. For one who is neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means.
The process of linking oneself with the Supreme is called yoga. It may be compared to a ladder for attaining the topmost spiritual realization. This ladder begins from the lowest material condition of living entity and rises up to a perfect self-realization in pure spiritual life. According to various elevations, different parts of the ladder are known by different names. But all in all, the complete ladder is called yoga and may be divided into three parts, namely Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. The beginning of the ladder is called Yoga Rudra stage, and the highest rung is called Yoga Rudra.
Yoga Rudra.
Yoga Rudra. Concerning the eightfold yoga system, attempts in the beginning to enter into the meditation through regulative principles of life and practice of different sitting postures are considered fruitive material activities. All such activities lead to achieving perfect mental equilibrium to control the senses. When one is accomplished in the practice of meditation, he ceases all disturbing mental activities. A Krishna conscious person, however, is situated from the beginning on the platform of meditation because he always thinks of Krishna, and being constantly engaged in the service of Krishna is considered to have ceased all the material activities.
See, here again Krishna speaks about and explain about the who is actually the beginner at the beginning stage of the yoga and who is actually elevated to the highest stage of a yoga. So here he mentioned about the first word, what we called as a yoga ruruksha. Yoga ruruksha stage, that is the beginning stage. So one example is given, like, sorry for this mundane example, but whoever starts first time smoking, I don't know whether you've seen that, when first time people try to smoke, they start coughing. It is not in the rhythm, they initially don't get that rhythm how to smoke, and in first puff, when they inhale that smoke, it goes in the different direction, it's not coughing. After that, after multiple practices, it is used to. They can take many 10, 20, 20 cigarettes in a day. That example is mundane, but initially what Krishna is explaining is, on a yoga rurukshu stage, Krishna is recommending that don't give up your activity. In the name of renunciation, don't give up your activity. Continue doing your activity. By doing that activity, you will elevate it slowly and gradually to that platform where by default there is no need for you to take or do action externally. Are you getting me what I am saying? See, initially in the name of renunciation, what Krishna is recommending, then don't give up your duty. That is what Krishna has explained to Arjun. See, he has explained the entire Bhagavad Gita. What was the base? He was on the first stage where he wanted to run away from his duty in the name of spirituality, in the name of renunciation, in the name of the benefit or the 5 reason or the 6 reason that he has given. But what Krishna said, you cannot do that because you are in the very initial stage of understanding the reality and the material world and your duty. So you cannot give up your duty. You cannot avoid your duty and you need to continue working. You cannot forbidden by your actions. You need to take action. Okay, and then slowly and gradually when you are elevated to the higher platform, then you will be reaching on the yoga rudha stage where there is no difference of whether you are acting or not acting. That stage is the pure soul, like Prabhupada, Maharaj, all they turn on the yoga rudha stage where they are totally 100% without any backup plan, totally depending on Krishna. Nothing. So that is the actually Krishna will be explaining in this chapter. We'll stop here, but I'll just wanted to highlight this, that in this particular chapter Krishna speaks about the Ashtanga Yoga. As I mentioned, that is Ashtanga Yoga means 8 limbs. So we start initially from the Yama and Niyama. Yama means do and Niyama means don't. So Yama, Niyama, do and don't. So I said about 8. So Yama, Niyama, how many? 2. Okay, after that it comes asana. When it is about the, so Yama and Niyama, people are generally, as I mentioned earlier, people don't want to follow regulation. But that is the first step, and people sometimes come to Krishna consciousness and they say that we are following 4 regulative principle, and it is so much difficult to follow that 4 regulative principle, and if we are trying to follow that somehow or the other, we are thinking that we are elevated. But that is the first step. That is the first step where we are talking about, we are elevating ourselves from the animalistic propensity to the humanly level. That is the first step. 4 regulative principles. So there are certain specific do's which is given, which you need to follow, and there are certain don'ts which you are not supposed to do. as per the Shastra. That is the first step to do spirituality. So many questions, many argument, many debate can happen in do's and don'ts. Based on Shastras, we can discuss. If you think that anything which is why not, it is permissible, why we cannot do that. Everything has a logical reasoning for every do's and don'ts. And it is all connected to your spiritual progress. So yam and niyam. Then asana. Asana is a certain type of exercise to maintain your body in a certain situation so that you can practice actually the Dhyan Yoga or a yoga of a Bhakti Yoga. Then it comes to the pranayam. When we all do talk about the yoga, it is basically on the two platforms. One is Hatha Yoga and another is pranayam. We have not spoken or seen anything currently practicing on the Ashtanga Yoga. It is only the Hatha Yoga, which is the different postures of the bodily limbs, and pranayam, which is the techniques of your inhaling and exhaling, which is helping you to have the sound sleep or maybe peaceful mind. That is pranayam. Pratyahar is something which is withdrawing your pratyahar is example is given of tortoise, withdrawing your senses from the worldly accomplishment, worldly business or activities, worldly duties. We are receiving your senses. So for example, simple example is somebody is talking which is not very beneficial for your spiritual life, even if your material life, it is like normal bakwas. So you need to pull out your senses in such a way so that you don't attentively hear that. That is the pratyahar, restricting your senses. Then it comes to the dharana, when actually stage comes where you actually start meditating and focusing on the Paramatma. Then dharana starts. So all this 6 up to dhyan, it's 6 up to this level, we are talking about the senses level. But from dhyan, we are talking about on the mental level, soul's level. We start from there. So it comes to dhyan. Then dhyan, when it gets concentrated deeply, then it went to the range of a samadhi, where you actually experiencing the Paramatma in your heart, and you actually can see him, you can experience him, and you can in a way talk to him, just like a Dhruv Maharaj. When he reached the ultimate stage of samadhi, he was actually experiencing Krishna as a Paramatma in his heart. He was seeing Krishna. He was talking to Krishna. He was laughing with Krishna. That is the ultimate range of samadhi. So just to recap that we have discussed 3 verses of this chapter. We discussed the 5th chapter's recap, and then we spoke about the 5 different reason why we cannot practice Dhyan Yoga in this particular Yuga, which is the full of distraction, allurement and temptation. We discussed about that, and then we spoke about the sannyas, what is real sannyas, and then we gave the example of the tin, and we compared with the Bhagavad Gita, what we'll get in Bhagavad Gita, and who all cannot understand Bhagavad Gita, where we discussed about the 3 steps, that is the language, darkness and illusion. That person cannot understand Bhagavad Gita, and for that, to understand Bhagavad Gita, we need a bona fide teacher or spiritual master to make us understand the Bhagavad Gita. And then we spoke about the different stages or 8 limbs of the Bhagavad Gita, which is Ashtanga Yoga, and Krishna will gradually explaining in future verses. The most important part of the Dhyan Yoga is a mind, because mind is the greatest enemy, and if it is not favorable and not controlled, and he is the greatest friend if it is controlled. So Krishna will speak about 1st to 9, it is about the mind, because everything happens from the mind. Mind actually drags you, either it can degrade you or it can elevate you. So first thing is mind, and Krishna will explain in future verses about the Ashtanga Yoga, and finally he will conclude the 6th chapter in what is his recommendation as a yoga to become yoga. So thank you very much for being very patient audience and allowing me to serve in this way. Sorry for if I've spoken anything which is hurting you, but yeah, it's a fact, and by sitting here I cannot lie, I cannot please, or I cannot say anything which is, I may say sometime which is beyond my realization, but it's a Shastra's verdict and Shastra's sentences which I have to repeat, which I have heard from the other seniors. But yeah, this is what we have done. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Any comment, any suggestion, any trip, anything you would like to mention? We'll wait for 2 minutes or 1 minute. If I have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, anything that we have discussed, you are not agreeing, thinking something else. See, if you are not doing this now, you will not be able to digest that what we have discussed. You need to churn. Mananam is very important. Shravanam is happening, somehow or the other. But if that Shravanam is happening and Manana is not happening, then Shravanam is not last in your mind or your memory for long. So no problem if you don't want to discuss with me, but discuss with somebody else, with your friends, families, whatever you have heard, and try to see to it that whatever we have discussed, how we are applying that in your particular life. That is my only request. We have 2 minutes. We can have Narsimarti and then Mahaprasade going. Okay. Namaste Narasimhaya